Karnataka's poll bugle has been sounded, and political parties are leaving nothing to chance. This time, they are wooing women voters.
The total number of women candidates in all of the political parties, the number is abysmal. Below 10% is what we understand out of 225 seats for the Karnataka elections 2018. In fact, Mahila wings of all political parties have now expressed disappointment over the fact that there aren't enough women candidates.
But even as the parties promise women empowerment, they don't seem to be walking the talk. For example, take the Congress manifesto that makes women a priority, yet the party has fielded less than 10% women from their party. Women don't fare any better in other parties. JDS has 14 women to represent them, and BJP has also awarded tickets to less than 10%.
There is a lot of lip service of gender equality. There's a lot of lip service of empowering women. When we know that they are so stingy in giving the seat to the women.
Until the point that it was mandated to have reservation in local bodies, in both panchayats and urban local bodies, right? They did not give tickets to women at all. They did not, there was no party system, but women candidates were not fielded at all.
Mirror now asks, what explains the low percentage of women candidates? Aren't there enough women capable of representing Kannadigas? How can people buy promises of women empowerment from parties that give their own women members the short shrift? Let's debate.
You're watching the Urban Debate in Mirror now. I'm Faye. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Over the last several weeks, we have come out into the street demanding that those who run our country and those who run our states and our cities pay closer attention to the women of our country. We've asked the question of how do we stop the rapes? We've asked why are women such low priority? Why aren't we able to fix the problem? And every political party has come out over the last several weeks and given us lip service excuses. They've said things like the other party is responsible. They've said things like we care deeply, we will do whatever it takes, we take the women of this country seriously and we want to protect the women. There are daughters, there are mothers, there are aunts, there are grandmothers, all of these things were said. Where is all of that today when they have to consider giving election tickets to women? Look at the numbers in Karnataka, and I'll remind you that Karnataka doesn't stand out separately. A lot of the states have similar numbers, but we have to look at this right now given everything that has happened in our country over the last several months. In Karnataka, of the Congress party's 218 candidates, and while the EC is still confirming the list, these numbers have come from the party themselves. Out of 218 candidates, only 15 women. 15. So the whole state of Karnataka, with 3 crore population, you could only find 15 women. In the BJP 220 candidates, you only found 8 women. 8 women. And in the JDS, with 231 candidates, only 14 women. Remember, whatever else these politicians may be thinking about winnability and winning elections, women are half this country. They're also half the state of Karnataka, as they are half any state. We're not 5%, we're not 6%, we're not 8%. This is not good enough, and if anything, this proves that everything our politicians have said to us in the last 3 weeks is a total and complete lie. Joining me on the show today, S. Srinath, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP. Wing Commander G.B. Atri is the spokesperson of the Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee. Aarti Jarat is a senior journalist. Jagdeep S. Chokar is a professor at the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, IIM Ahmedabad, and also the founder of ADR that does a lot of research in this particular area. We're grateful for the help that ADR is giving us. Nadia Zagaria is a citizen voice, and of course S. Srinivasan is a senior journalist who will join me through the course of the conversation. Let me start with Aarti. Aarti, if we look at the numbers, do these numbers surprise you, given everything our politicians have been telling us? For us to turn around and see that less than 10% in all parties, women are less than 10%.
Well, Faye, I mean, this happens in election after election because unfortunately, the main criterion for selecting candidates is winnability. And somehow people feel that in a politics dominated by muscle power, money power, women are not capable of winning. And let me tell you, if they hadn't forced reservations in panchayats, if they hadn't forced reservations for women in local bodies, we would have had hardly any women representatives even at the grassroots level. And so me, who has never been a votary of quotas for women, I firmly support this 33% reservation bill for women in parliament and in legislative assemblies, because until you get a quota, you are not going to get women into parliament. You know, even for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, it's only because there are reserved seats for them that we have the representation of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes that we do. So until, you know, unfortunately, until we put that quota in, I don't see the number of women increasing anywhere in any assembly or in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha.
Well, I also want to bring in Wing Commander GB Atri, who joins us from the Congress Party. Thank you for joining us. Could you explain to us how, out of 218 candidates, the Congress Party could only find 15 women that you thought were worthy of seats in the state of Karnataka? Wing Commander Atri, can you hear me? Yes, could you explain to me, please, out of 218 candidates, how did the Congress Party only manage to find 15 women worthy of tickets in the state of Karnataka? Right, we seem to have a problem with the audio. We're going to come back. Jagdeep Chokar, is this a call out for women's reservation?
Well, there is a call out for women's reservation which has been around since 1996. Now in 22 years, our politicians, parliamentarians have not had the time, and I would add inclination, to do anything on this issue. No political party at all has any interest in bringing more women, just like they have no interest in bringing clean candidates. The number of MPs with criminal cases pending against them has been increasing, and fortunately or unfortunately, it seems women commit less crimes than men, therefore they don't stand a chance. So we can call out for reservations, but reservations are not going to happen with the existing scheme of things. And Aarti just clarified the whole thing perfectly well, that winnability means money and muscle. Now, even in the 50% or reservation that is there in local bodies, one sees the phenomenon of women being elected because the seat is reserved for them, but the husband or the brother-in-law running the office. There are people with business cards printed which says Sarpanch Pati, and they take all the decisions. And the women representatives have been known to say, and I have personal experience of this, कि उन्होंने मुझको यही काम दिया हुआ है. So reservations has certainly contributed to empowerment of women to some extent, but we have a long way to go.
Absolutely, really well said. I want to bring in Nadia as well. Nadia is a citizen voice. You know, we've had, and if you are in Bangalore, you've seen over the last 2 weeks, both the BJP and the Congress have put out ads in newspapers that are extremely distasteful, that use rape as an election point, saying that these many rapes in Uttar Pradesh, so you should vote for the Congress. These many rapes in the state of Karnataka, so you should vote for the BJP. And here they are, promising women empowerment, but delivering none of it, because they don't even want to give tickets to women.
True, that's what's happening these days. We women are being used as a forefront. Our misfortunes are being used as a forefront for party votes. Unfortunately, it's become such a situation where people just want women to stand in front. We address our country, Bharat Ma, and that is what is happening with us women too. We are being promised empowerment, but I don't see it happening in any state, any place, whether it's got to do with the government or our entire structure, the way our community works. It isn't happening. Like our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, had said, if you want to see the condition of a country, look at the status of its women. Where is the status of the women? We're not scared to come out. We're not scared to voice our opinions. We're not scared to do anything these days. But unfortunately, we are not given enough of a chance to prove ourselves. We're mere puppets. That's exactly how I see ourselves, mere puppets.
Mr. Srinath joins us right now, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP. Mr. Srinath, tell me why you have only put forward 18 candidates who are women in the whole state, 220 candidates altogether, 8 women from the BJP. What is the explanation for this?
Yeah, we have about 8 candidates, right? Yeah. See, basically, the reservation in Jilla Parishad and other up to corporation level, it has taken place. And slowly women are taking control on the constituencies and activities. It's happening in a positive way. I do agree. And the reservation bill in the parliament was blocked due to certain political will by some parties. And now what I feel is we have showing it as an example. And we have 7 central ministers, women, out of which defense minister is a woman. See, these things will give more strength for the women folk to go stronger and become open and become more active. And this would certainly lead to a positive activity in this one. Even today, if you take it, a lady Supreme Court judge has been appointed. See, the problem is, and yesterday while Mr. Modi addressed the BJP gathering of Karnataka to plan for the election activities, he came up with a suggestion that for a booth level working is the most important. In the booth level working, if you have 10 men working, please have 10 women also working. You see, the problem is empowerment comes there. And empowerment I have seen in Karnataka at a factory, where there are 20% of the engineers are women engineers in the steel plant. So this is a process. They have not made any reservation, but those people are working in one of the hardest working conditions so well. That is something for you to appreciate. And this positivity will have to come
Mr.
from the
Srinath,
women
I'll tell you what I appreciate. I appreciate from your party. I'll tell you what I appreciate.
One second. Bring in for the reservation. We'll certainly support that issue and we'll do it.
Okay, so what you're saying to me effectively, point number 1, unless there is reservation, unless you are forced, you will not allow women inside the assembly. That is the stand of the Karnataka BJP. Point number 2, what you're saying effectively is that you will feel...
it is not so. Over a period of time, women should take over those places. Don't you think so?
Women can take over places if they're given the chance to do so. Our culture, our way of upbringing, the way our society is, it's always that women are seen to be more meeker, more...
No, hang on. You're being very kind. Nadia, you're being very kind to Mr. Srinath, and he's very fortunate to have you sit next to him today. But women should take over how? If the men in your party are not going to give tickets, if you're going to willfully block women from entering politics, how will they take over? How will I take over a room if I'm not allowed to enter that room? Please, Mr. Srinath, you have given tickets to 33% criminals who have cases against them, but you have not found 33% women to give tickets to. So unless you're telling me that you have a reservation for people who have criminal cases against them inside the BJP, and you will give 33% seats and tickets to people who have cases. So people come in, 33% criminal reservation inside your party, so they've got 33% tickets. So women don't have reservations, so women don't have tickets.
No, I don't agree with that.
Are the numbers wrong? Are the numbers wrong?
I don't
Correct me if
agree
the
with
numbers are wrong. Are the
But
numbers
the
wrong?
point is, no. See, one thing, what we are, I mean, what we have shown you, we have a defense minister as a woman, lady. You see, understand, we are not trying to block them at any point. Have we tried? Then it would have been a men's domain. Other than Indira Gandhi, the next lady to become a defense minister was
Indira Gandhi was our Prime Minister. When are you going to field a woman Prime Minister?
We have no,
When are you going to support a woman Prime Minister in your party? Or a woman Home Minister in your
I
party?
think over a period of time you will have
Over a
here.
period
You
of
had
time.
already a
So
Prime
basically
Minister,
what you're
Prime
saying is
Minister.
that I have to continue doing primetime shows like this for a very long period of time before we get to see a woman Prime Minister again, right? Or a woman Chief Minister. All right. Okay, I must point out, this is not specific to just the BJP. The Congress party is just as guilty and so is the JDS. But let me bring in Wing Commander GB Atri of the Congress party. If you can hear me, Wing Commander Atri, out of 218 candidates, you only found 15 worthy women in the state of Karnataka?
No, I am not saying worthy or unworthy. We have found suitable women candidates at the moment. Faye is not only women empowerment through electoral politics. Women empowerment is a completely balanced approach in the society.
What does that even mean?
You have seen Karnataka is the only state where you have a woman chief secretary and woman DGP, and Congress,
Because
many
you know why?
women have been empowered in many of the
Women Chief
corporations
Secretary
boards
and women
things like that.
DGP,
Let
because
us
women can
understand
take
democracy
exams
in a
and enter
holistic
those
approach.
professions, and they don't need politicians to give them tickets. That's why there are women Chief Secretaries and women DGPs, because you don't have to wait around for a politician to give you a ticket to become a DGP. Now, I'm going to read from the front page of the manifesto that the Congress party released this morning.
Absolutely.
This is what it says. The Indian National Congress strongly believes in having a just and humane society. This is the front page. Just and humane society which empowers women to realize their full potential and live a life of dignity and choice, enabling them to participate in the process of decision making as equal partners and to influence the process of social change, while you only hand out 18 out of 218 tickets. What sort of lip service is this?
Let us understand.
What
it for a
participate
minute.
in the process of decision making? How? By standing outside?
You have asked a question. Let me answer that.
Please.
Today you have seen Srimati Indu Malhotra has been sworn in as one of the justices in the Supreme Court. How many years it has taken? You know, it is a societal issue today. Don't blame any of the parties. At least Congress has shown the way. Congress in Karnataka is showing the way of making women more responsible in society, giving them position of responsibility. We will do much more as the time comes up. And mind you, it is Indira Gandhi from Congress party who was the first Prime Minister in entire South Asia. The whole world knows about it. So let us not only, see that Congress has done this, Congress has done that. Let us not bring that diminishing image here. Society as a whole has to change its approach towards how many, and that is why we always said this 33% reservation bill, even today after 4 years of BJP in power, has not even been introduced in the parliament for discussion. What is that they're saying? We believe in actions. We have actioned and shown. In Karnataka, while BJP has given, I think, 2 seats or 2 or 3 to their women candidates, we have given 15. That is 500% more than BJP. We are more towards women empowerment. We will do much more. There are many corporations, there are many mandalas, there are many boards, which is a part of democratic setup for governance.
Please,
of a
may I
party in
puncture his
power.
argument?
We will put all
Aarti ji,
those
please
people
go
in
ahead.
those areas and see that the women representation in government.
May I
is not only
puncture his
about
argument?
politics.
Yes,
Let us not get
please.
confused.
All right,
Let me complete.
rebuttal from Aarti
Let's not
Jaira,
get
please.
confused only about electoral politics.
Rebuttal, sir, from Aarti Jaira.
Please, Margaret Alva, who is a senior leader from your party, said, and she has written this in her book also, she said that she was a member of the election committee that was choosing candidates for the assembly elections some years ago. And she was trying to push for this some woman to get a ticket.
Margaret Alva.
And every man at that table said, no way, she cannot win the seat, we are not going to give her the ticket. So please,
I have
what are
no
you
idea
talking
what you're
about
saying, whether not
empowerment?
privy to what
When
happened before.
you say
Unfortunately, because of
winnability
communication
is the
glitch, I was
only
not connected.
criteria,
I just
this
came
is from
online.
Margaret
Would you kindly
Alva,
educate
senior
me what
leader
happened?
of your
one second,
party.
one
She
at a time,
said
please,
this
one at a
at
time.
public
Listen to what
forum
happened.
where I was present.
No,
And
what is that?
she said that you dismissed
this
this
she?
woman
Let's get the
because
names.
you said that she's not capable of winning.
Who said
Margaret
this?
Alva, your
No,
leader
I don't
from
think so.
Karnataka.
No, you're
You're
drawing
from
an
your
inference
leader
out of
from
nothing.
Karnataka.
I don't think
So
it has
are
happened
you
like
trying
that.
to say that
It has
she
not
lied?
happened like that.
Are you saying that she lied? Such a senior leader who
No, I
has
am
been a
not saying
union
that she
minister
lied.
and
There
a
is
governor.
not a
Are
pillow
you
between
saying
the
that
lip
she
and the cup.
lied?
It's understanding. It's how one understand the issue. Like I'm trying to tell you, you have to understand a governance module in any democracy is not simply through electoral politics alone. Governance has so many faces, so many methodology in which women can definitely be empowered. You have to give it to us, madam, that Congress has shown the path. Show me in the entire country where there is the chief secretary and the DGP, both are women. Show me one. So there are many chief ministers of Congress party who have been women earlier.
It happened by seniority. You did not do anything. You had no
The
option.
first prime minister also is
It
from
happened-
Congress party.
it happened by
Let us
seniority,
not
boss.
unnecessarily
You had nothing to
deviate
do
this
with it.
debate Into,
Just like that it happened. You had no control on it, basically.
No, that is
The
not
DGP
point.
officer, she
Point
passed
I'm trying to make is
IPS
very
and she
simple.
came there.
In
It
Karnataka,
was not gifted by
Has
Congress.
started leading the way
Congress
by
did
giving
not gift
15
it.
women tickets. Where the BJP,
You
which
know,
tries
okay,
to
all right,
champion,
gentlemen,
20
hang on. Let me bring in Mr. Jagdeep Chokar for the Indian Institute of Management. Mr. Chokar, if we look at the numbers, gentlemen, please. This is why we need more women in politics.
It was his generosity and to make women great, he gave it. My goodness, this is not the way. I don't think it's the right way.
And harmony
Do you
for
think it is
the
the right way?
dignity of women in this country. You have seen all around the nation what is happening for those rapists.
All right,
It's
is
a
not
all
part of
right,
it.
all right. I am not going to allow you to use rape.
I enjoy your love.
One
That's
second,
good.
one second. Cut the
Our
mics.
country is away.
That
I am not
IPS
going to allow
officer
either of
this
you
one
to
came
use
out
rape as a
of
handle
their
for an election, not on my show. I will not allow it, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but I'm going to go back. One second. One second, Mr. Srinath, Mr. Srinath and Mr. Atri, pretend as if you are women in politics and show some respect for other people's opinions. One second. Let me go across to Mr. Chokar. Mr. Chokar, of the candidates that have been announced so far, recontesting candidates with criminal cases, BJP 30, Indian National Congress 48, JDS 17. So, correct me if I'm wrong, these numbers are still coming through right now, but they have fielded twice as many people with criminal cases as they have fielded women. Almost as if there is a reservation for criminals in this election.
He has not stopped, they have blocked.
You see, there is a much deeper issue here. Political parties in this country have come to believe and completely internalize that the purpose of their existence is to win elections, get into power, and start preparations for winning the next election. They have no interest in social issues, in public issues, in national issues. One of the political party people, when you asked him about criminals and women, he laughed. It is a laughing matter. It doesn't matter. This show will happen. They will first waste time chatting with each other, over speaking each other, speaking over each other, and then the idea is to waste time. They know it is not going to make any difference. Unless the society or we as voters let political parties know unambiguously that they are not above the law. Political parties, in the experience of ADR, the organization that I work with, 6 times in the last 19 years have become unanimous in changing the law to suit themselves. So political parties do not exist for people, for society, for the country. They exist for themselves and their members and their leaders. So expecting them to do anything right, I am extremely pained to say this, is unrealistic. We have to find a way, and the only way that I can think of is that when we find that there is no candidate suitable to my liking, we should all vote for none of the above, nota. if, as the Supreme Court wrote in its judgment, if more and more people use nota, political parties will be forced to put up better candidates. The Supreme Court is very careful about the words it uses. It did not say it will motivate the political parties or it will encourage the political parties. It said political parties will be forced. So as you have rightly said, unless they are forced, they are not going to mend their ways, whether it is putting up putting up people with pending criminal cases against them, or putting up women, or even taking up social issues. How many times in the last few minutes the word rape has been mentioned in context of the election? And there is no shame amongst the people of political parties to use heinous stuff, shameful stuff as rape for electoral purposes.
Is it?
I mean, this is just unbelievably disgusting, I have to say that.
Absolutely, really well said. And I want to bring in Mr. Srinivasan. S. Srinivasan is a senior journalist who joins us from Noida. I'm reading out of Mr. Srinivasan the Congress manifesto that was released today. Its first point: we will endeavour to raise the employment level of women to 50% in the government workforce, with absolutely no intention of in any way increasing the participation of women inside the assembly. Do you see this as lip service?
Well, I think manifesto, these sections of the manifesto, I'm sure, is just a cut and paste. Every year every 5 years they would revisit, take some portions and just stick it out. I don't think they really mean it. These are not issues on which the Karnataka elections are being fought. Good that somebody like you is actually making a TV debate at least. See, the point is, let me give a little context. According to PRS figures, in parliamentary election, this year we had the highest number of women in parliament, 11.3, which is good news. But then at the current rate, what is democracy? Democracy means, there should be equal representation. If you go by that definition, according to that study, it'll take another 50 years at this rate. It'll take another 50 years for women to get the true representation in parliament. That's the rate at which we are progressing. Now, countries like Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they seem to have a better international ranking than us. So that's another thing I think they should look at it. Somebody said that cultural aspect, Indian situation, but what about our neighbors? They seem to be doing better than us. The other thing is, like you correctly said, that, rape accused, scamsters, muscle men, all these guys find place, but not women. It's something, it's not true to say that if winnability is an issue, and therefore the only point is the political parties, field candidates who they think will win. And also because money power is, important. But the point is, if you look at parliament, the same PRS research shows, women candidates the strike rate has been better. They have actually more women candidates have got elected as compared to men. That's another interesting figure. And their education levels have been also found higher. So, all these things are fallacies. I think, all the political parties must truly introspect, and then they should give, look at these figures and give representation.
And I'm very interested that you said, Mr. Srinivasan, that a lot of the things that are printed in the first 2 pages of any manifesto are just cut, copy, paste, and I'll tell you why. We read through it today and we found some of it amusing. It says, abolish taxes on sanitary pads. Now, taxes on sanitary pads are GST, cannot be abolished by a state government. So you're making a promise here that you have no intention or no ability to keep. It also goes on to say free education to girls at the post-graduation level. Girls are not able to get free education at the graduate level. What are you saying? That someone is doing a post-graduation in like MBBS or doing a specialization, you'll pay for it. Again, promises made that you have no intention to keep.
But there is...
Yes, Mr. Srinivasan.
Yeah, just one more issue. Where you had powerful leaders, regional leaders as chief ministers like Jayalalitha in Tamil Nadu or West Bengal CM, if you look at, or Mamata Banerjee, so I looked at some figures and I found that women representation have been slightly higher, 14%. It averaged from 11 to 14%. But the question which you actually was raising was whether they were able to make any impact on policy outcomes. Like sanitary pad, you said. whether they have been able to make any impact, the way the policies are framed, which should be gender friendly, whether that has happened. I don't think those things have yet happened. That's another issue, but I'm sure that we'll cross that bridge when it comes. First, I think the first basic thing is women having the representation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Krishnamurthy on the phone line from Hubli in Karnataka. Mr. Krishnamurthy, go ahead. All right, we seem to have lost that connection. We'll try and get him back on the phone line. Okay, Guda Gudi from Hubli, I'm sorry. Guda Gudi, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, good evening, go ahead.
Yeah, see, these are the manifestos what they are producing, all the parties. It is for the sake of producing the manifestos they produce. The only thing is, in Karnataka, atrocities taken place for women. How many cases you want, especially the Rohini Sinduri? You can make out how many, the IPS lady was sacked. She resigned. And what about Gauri Lankesh? What action has been taken? Where is the question of this thing, the detection? Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening simply for the sake of especially Congress party.
Yes, yes.
I'm not doing
Let me bring in Nadia here. Nadia, I want to ask you this question. You've heard the arguments and the responses both from Mr. Srinath of the BJP and Wing Commander Athri of the Congress party. As a voter, are you convinced by either one?
Not at all. The thing is, women have proved themselves time and time again. Countrywide, worldwide, we have proved ourselves time and time again. I think if we took off this reservation for women and gave more seats, you'd see that we women would outbeat most of the people who are actually a part of the parties now. Coming to the manifestos, this is something that anyone who comes into power has to do. Okay? How many of the manifestos have we seen till date that have actually been kept up to? Just before the elections, we make a lot of promises. Using women as a forefront, using misfortune of women as a forefront, we come up with manifestos. What happens after the election? Where does the manifesto go? I don't think any of this makes sense. I think women, if we are given an opportunity, we have proved it. We were once women who sat at home, did no work. We just tended to our husbands, took care of our children, took care of our homes. We are out now working. We are holding high positions in offices. Why can't it be the same when it comes down to politics? We just need to be given that chance to do so.
Right. I want to bring in,
So
I want to bring in Aarti Jarat here.
I don't think I can agree with any of the parties.
Yes, Aarti, I'm going to put this back on the screen. And I personally, I've been traveling to Bangalore quite a lot. I'm from Bangalore myself. This is in the newspapers of Bangalore over the last 2 weeks. Wow. It's a despicable attempt to use rape for votes. The ad that was put out, incidentally, the day after the Prime Minister said, let's not politicize rape, was an ad put out by the BJP that said women and children are gripped by anxiety and fear and the Siddha Sarkar is deep in slumber. It goes on to talk about a government that can take strict actions to ensure safety for women and children is the need of the hour. Vote for BJP. Quickly followed by the Congress party that put out an ad that said, where were you when UP was crying? India asks the BJP government. Vote for Congress. Now, neither of these parties feel it necessary to field any of the women as candidates, but they are very happy to use to use crime against us for votes, Aarti.
Faye, I think it is absolutely disgusting that you should use, something that is something that is an assault on women. Rape is a tool that men use to dominate and exercise power over women. And to use that as a vote catcher, to use that as part of your campaign to win an election, I think it is absolutely disgusting. But Faye, at the end of the day, I think we women have to stand up and demand our place in Parliament, in the Legislative Assembly. Men are not going to give it to us. Let me tell you, the reason this women's reservation bill has not gone through Parliament is because men across parties don't want it to go through. They don't want to lose their space, their place. So we women have to fight for it. Just like somebody on your panel said, that voters have to do nota to reject, candidates with criminal backgrounds and so on. Well, I think we women have to start demanding. And, we have parties that are headed by women. For instance, Sonia Gandhi was president of the Congress party for so many years. But she didn't do anything to encourage this process of getting more and more women into politics. So, having a woman at the top is not the answer. I think all women from the bottom, they have to get together. They have to unite. They have to put pressure on the men to demand that they get equal representation in politics so that they can help in influencing policy decisions, in making policies that are more women friendly and genuinely empower women, not just putting one woman in as DGP or one woman in as chief secretary. That's not real
what
empowerment.
else, Aarti?
Real empowerment is when women are economically free.
Yes. What I find absolutely offensive is that DGP and that chief secretary would have worked their entire lives to reach that position. And here is politics taking credit for the work that these women have done to earn their positions. It is not because of you. It is in spite of you that these women have risen to the tops of their profession. If you had it your way, if you were to issue tickets for DGP's position, chief secretary's position, there would be men in those positions as well. You have absolutely no leg to stand on right now. Mr. Chokar, here's my question to you. The BJP and the Congress cannot or will not agree on most topics, except when it comes to backdating political funding. And in this case, women, they seem to be in agreement about the fact that let's not allow women into the assembly.
My suggestion to women, following what Aarti just said, is, and I am making this suggestion because I have myself voted Nota in the last 5 elections. My suggestion to women in Karnataka, in all humility, is all women voters in Karnataka should vote Nota, so that political parties get a message that you cannot willfully and consistently ignore 50% of the population of this country and continue to be in power. This may sound bizarre to a lot of people, but I think we have reached a situation for the last several years where bizarre things need to be done to drill some sense of reality in the heads of our political parties.
Well, I'm going to go back to our political parties and ask you, first of all, to not shout at each other while I ask you these questions. I have very pointed questions. Mr. Srinath of the BJP, I'm going to start with you. Percentage of candidates recontesting this election with serious criminal cases against them from the BJP, 17%. Much, much higher than the 3.6%, which is what you've allotted to women. But let's set that aside. Let's say you can't help yourself because you've already got a pre-decided reservation for criminals and that can't be helped, right? Reservation is reservation. If you need criminals, you need criminals. But you have said in your ad that the government will take strict action against crime for women and you will soothe the fears of women and children in the state of Karnataka. Now, if you're not going to field any women in candidates, can you tell me how you plan to fulfill this promise that you have made? What are you going to do?
The distribution of tickets has got nothing to do with that. If they were criminals, the electoral officer or the CEC would have rejected their application. See, legally they are clear. And it's a notionally we know that these things have happened and they have been given the tickets. So this is basically you are hoping for or we are looking for a change in the society framework as such. We would like the complete society to change over a period of time to reach this particular normalcy in the whole thing by emotion or by hearsay. You feel that so-and-so is a criminal and you don't give him a ticket.
Now we have got to strictly go by the rules that we go through the CEC applications wherever they find the candidature suitable. I think it gets through.
So
That
you've
is the situation what we are in.
issued,
I'm telling you. It is not
okay,
that
I
we
understand,
would
I
like to
understand.
encourage
And you'll
people
have to,
with the criminal
Mr. Srinath, you'll have to forgive me. I'm going to take a little time to understand this. You see, I'm a woman. I'm not very good at these things. We're not very good at politics. We need men to explain these things to us slowly. So explain it to me as if you were talking to a woman. You are going to create a new society where women are treated with respect. And you have found the perfect people to do so. You have, in fact, given a ticket to Mr. C.C. Patil. Now, why do we know Mr. C.C. Patil? Where do we know him from? He was caught watching pornographic film clips inside the State Assembly room while the State Assembly was in session. This is the man we are hoping to give a ticket to win an election, to put in the State Assembly, to treat women better. Now, explain to me, because I'm a woman, how does that work?
Madam, he was pulled up by the Speaker of the Assembly, and he had to give an explanation. And when the Speaker accepts the explanation, we have to close it at that point. So we can't go beyond that. That's the problem. You try to understand.
But why give him a ticket? Why have you given him a ticket?
Because it happened inside
Why
the
have you given him a
Legislative
ticket?
Assembly hall.
Why have you given him a ticket? How is he going to respect women?
You see, you can't help it because legally he's not in a...
You can't help it. You are the party that runs our country and you're telling me you can't help it? What is he, twisting your arm?
I mean, that is what I said there. I mean, that portion I told you very clearly. It is a change in the society what you are looking.
What change? You are fielding the same people again the second time around, same criminals. You've given a ticket to a Reddy brother. To a Reddy brother.
Correct.
What change are you going to bring in? Please tell me.
Yeah. You see, I will tell you. Karunakar Reddy was there with us for the last election also. He had won in 2013 also.
That is not
He was there with us. And
I'm not asking you about winnability. I'm asking about your conscience.
The main person. See, legally... No, the problem point is these two have been our party workers. You see, their relationship with the group started somewhere in Sushma versus Sonia time, by Ballari fight, long time back. But the problem is, we have given it to these two. Out of these two, one was a sitting member of 2013 Assembly. Somshekhar Reddy is the extra ticket what we have given.
So,
and they were, so he was a Milk Federation chairman actually. So, you see, basically, what has happened now, they all, you see, telling this way that Congress also has done it is not the right way. I agree. I can show a number of examples where they have corrupt people who have been proved corrupt.
I'm not asking you about the Congress. You're not a member of the Congress, are you? Why are you giving me answers about the Congress? Give me answers about the BJP. I want to know, how are you going to create a Karnataka that is different if what you're doing is exactly what you did last time? What is this difference you're going to bring?
But that is not the right argument actually.
No. You told me you are going to create a Karnataka that is different.
Over a period of time, the society will change.
I don't have time. We don't have time. Does anybody have time for this?
In the society.
Nadia, do you have time for this over a period of time?
It has to start at the bottom or the top. From top, we have started cleaning. Down the line, it will come. Down the line, it will come.
By the time we wait for such change, I think it's going to be too late.
It's about to come.
Change has to happen now. It has to happen here. There is no time. There is no future.
It is already too late.
The future is now. If you don't expect change now, we are talking about, it's too late. It has to, if anything has to happen, it has to happen now.
Well, Mr. Jagdeep Chokar says it's already too late, but let me take the same questions now to Wing Commander Atri of the Congress Party. Wing Commander Atri of the Congress Party. You put out an ad with a picture of the Chief Minister that says, and let me read out, fact. In Uttar Pradesh, Unnao rape case, victim's father went to seek justice but died in police custody. Where were you when UP was crying? India asks BJP government. It's grammatically incorrect also, but never mind. This is to highlight the, I can't read it very well. The Prime Minister himself said that we will vote for Congress, vote for change. I'm assuming that the point of this ad was to say that you will protect the women of Karnataka. If you have only fielded 15 women candidates And you have, let me read out the statistics of the Indian National Congress. Out of the 218, and this is according to ADR, number of recontesting candidates with serious criminal cases, 23. Number percentage of recontesting candidates with serious criminal cases, 16%, as opposed to the 7% women you have put out. So, 16% reservation you have for serious criminal cases? Mr. Atri, how are you planning on making Karnataka safer for women? Please explain to me.
Faye, it's not just, I told you earlier also, it is not just the electoral processes in which we have to give it. We have taken a bold step. We have taken a step for the good direction. Let me tell you from my personal example, I want to clear certain misconception over here. One gentleman was talking about cut and paste manifesto. I request him kindly go through the Congress manifesto of 2013 and see the Congress manifesto of 2018. He will gladly be happy to see there are no cut and pasters. Mr. Moili has taken 4.5 months, traveled each district, Taluk headquarters and found out what exactly is needed from the people, and accordingly we have made the manifesto for 2018 election. Secondly, Nadia was trying to mention that nothing has been fulfilled by the manifestos, they are only just copies every year. I'm afraid, Nadia, kindly take the 2013 manifesto of Congress and see 87% of manifesto, whatever we had promised, has been achieved. Point by point you can see. If you can rebut me, you can come and talk to me. I will show you everything has been done. You yourself will be satisfied.
But you are talking about manifesto about the women.
I think I need to intervene here. It has got no statistics, no vision, no accountability. Absolutely, no accountability at all at any point.
Faye, please, let's have a debate.
No direction.
One at a time, gentlemen. I don't want to waste my audience's time.
Why is the gentleman unnecessarily coming in between? I kept on listening to whatever he blabbered. Okay?
No, hang on. Treat each other with
Secondly,
respect,
I'm glad
please.
you brought out the advertisement.
You and the truth.
I am glad
I'm coming in between the truth and you.
Can you please
Because
make
you're
him
not telling
quiet?
the truth, I have to come.
Will you please make him quiet? Will you please make him quiet, Faye?
Wing Commander
Let's
Atri,
have a
please go
very
on. Gentlemen, please don't
healthy
speak
debate here.
together. One at a time, please.
Please, now let me continue. Faye, I'm very glad you brought out the advertisement part of it. I will also tell the complete people of Karnataka and India that we had filed a case with the Election Commission and they have now refrained and restrained BJP to put up such vulgar display of advertisement trying to show everybody in negativity except for themselves. Yesterday they have issued this that they have been restrained to show any of this in print media or in electronic media. Their complete, hypocrisy has been put out in the open.
Congress party has also done it.
Coming back to your third question, why we have not been able to give more tickets to women this time? Where I am with you on this. Let me tell you, as an individual Air Force officer, it took so many years for women to come into the Air Force. Today, I can proudly tell you, we have got fighter pilots as women in the Indian Air Force. I always have believed 50% of the universe belongs to women. Therefore, certain good elements in Congress party are working towards to increase this percentage of people. Again,
it is by their strength, their capability they have come up.
Why they want to interject?
Not because of you.
I think it is the DNA of BJP spokesperson all over the country to just butt in when somebody else is making a point. Why can't they listen to them? Because they can only vomit what they have got. That is again only, anti-religious feeling they have. Let them listen to others, their wisdom will improve. Okay? Therefore, even in the Air Force or the Army, even today we do not have women in the infantry. Only army which has got women in the infantry is Israel. India is inching ahead of that.
No. Okay, hang on. All right. Let me first of all point out that this would have been a far more polite conversation if both politicians were women, or at least one of those politicians were women. But we've run out of time and I have to wrap up this discussion here. I think it is more than amusing that we are getting lectures right now about how women are doing well in the Army and in the Air Force and in the IAS and in the IPS. Women are doing well because women are good. Women will do well in any field. As long as you are not standing there, bolting the door from the inside, which is what politicians are doing. It boils down to one thing. We have heard every single big politician in this country lecture us about safety for women in the last 3 weeks. except for some of the women politicians who've completely pretended like the rapes never happened. And now those same political parties are entering an election in Karnataka, refusing, like stubborn children not willing to share their cake, refusing to give tickets to women candidates. What does this tell us? This tells us that they have no intention to empower women. They have no intention to share the power. They have no intention to bring in female voices. What is 3.6%? The same people will field people with serious criminal cases, bring in candidates who are watching pornography inside of the assembly but not bring in women, and give us lip service from the BJP and the Congress, lip service about women empowerment. We are not stupid. And we don't need you to tell us that India is inching slowly. It will happen in good time. Wait your turn. Our turn came and went, and you bolted the door from the inside. We are going to share details of every one of your candidates who is a criminal. We are going to embarrass you by the choices you have made. We're going to put out that information for our audience, and we'll do it over and over again. You have not put us first. You have lied and you have cheated. And we're going to make that public. What is most depressing is there seems to be no difference in the choices of political parties because they have all treated women the same way. The only way to battle this is with information and with votes. Viewers, I'll supply the information, you supply the votes. Let's tell these politicians that even though we only have a voice once in 5 years, that voice is harsh, it's loud, and it's clear. Criminals will not do anymore. Either stop promising us that you're going to keep women safe or actually act on your promises. Because we are watching this time.